Your business, David, was relatively new.
Yeah, so we couldn't actually get into anything that we actually wanted to get into anyway, because the banks didn't really want to know. They didn't really want to know us.
Welcome to this episode of the Relatable Property Investor. So we've got with us today David and Sasha and their two beautiful children, Harley and Haven. And obviously I've got Narissa here from our Duval team. So we just want to talk to you a little bit today about your property journey and specifically about obviously your journey with us here at Duval. So maybe we can just start our chat by talking a little bit about your sort of background, your upbringing, what you knew, what you were taught about money, what you were taught about property as you grew up, and get a little bit of a background about both of you.
Yes, so for me, I was brought up in a really close-knit tight family, and my mum and dad always said to my sister and I that, you know, it's important to, in general, learn about money. So even as teenagers, we'd have to give them a little bit of rent, and then they save it up, they'd give it back to us. My mum and dad installed in my sister and I to basically go out, work hard, buy your first home, save the money for your first home, which is basically what I've gone through life and done. I've worked really hard, earned my money, met David, and we weren't really in a position to buy our own home at the stage that we wanted to buy. We were in our early 20s and we had debt, which many people have, especially at our age. And so we sat down with a mortgage broker and had to figure out how we make that step, how we get into our own home, because we knew that we wanted to have a family of our own as well. So we got some help from my parents. The way they helped us was not giving money because they weren't in a position to do that. So the way we did it was using equity off their property. So I had no idea that was even possible, that you could do that. So that was how we managed to get into our home, which we were extremely lucky. Information and the help that my parents gave to me of following your goals, thinking about what you want, and creating financial freedom, the best way to do that is through property. So to be able to start young was really great for us.
And what about you, David? How did you get into property? What was the story for you?
For me, I always wanted to buy my own house. I just didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I was going to do it. For me, I was always taught to get your money and then just save it, you know?
I think that's quite common, isn't it? A lot of people are taught just by their parents, especially in your generation and our generation, that save. Yeah. But really you can't save your way to wealth, can you? And so in terms of obviously you two meeting, it was a matter of working together to pay off debt, to save up to be able to afford that first deposit, and then obviously you guys working with your parents to help you make that happen. You used the equity in their property.
Yes. And
did they help you in terms of being a guarantor on your mortgage and that sort of thing?
Yes. They took on that role of being guarantor for us, and we got to a stage of when we got into our own home and then thought, you know, we've had our first child, we'd like to grow our family, but the home that we were in was too small, so we had to think of the next step and what our plans were. Working at Duval myself for around 5 years, I was able to get a really huge insight to property and the world of investing, and we were looking at coming out of our smaller home to go into something bigger. We spoke to another broker and we spoke to Narissa as well, and you put some pressure on us to look into investing because it was a time that was good for us, that would work, and so we took that chance, eh?
Yeah. The pressure that you talk about was because I knew that you'd sold your house.
Yes.
And my thing for you guys was to make sure that we got you back into the market, particularly here in Auckland, as quickly as possible.
Yes.
And also, which you'll no doubt talk about, Dave, you establishing your own business, which is super cool. But you're at that very early stage, so off the plan, which you'll probably talk about a little bit more. The property that you've purchased is still under construction.
Tell me about the house that you first bought. Why? Because I know that there were other motivations for selling other than just the fact that you wanted to grow your family. So tell us about that.
We bought a house in Tuakau because at the time that's all we could really afford, and I mean, at the time you get a better house out there for our money. In the end, the house was like we did it up. We done it up.
A lot of work, like we had like rotten timber windows, so we fully kitted it out. We put all new alum window, double glazed windows. We redid the gardens. We did the kitchen, the bathroom. It was a full renovation. So we put a lot of time and money into that. And again, it was a matter of saving where we could to do those things.
And sacrifice too, you know.
Yes.
Dave was doing all the work, you know, so there were your weekends gone.
There was quite a lot of maintenance on it. So even after you've done the renovation, because it's an older home, every weekend there's a job to do. And it's kind of a never ending.
And with that, it comes a lot of time and money that you have to invest into that to improve it and get your money's worth back. So for us doing an off the plan we benefit from it in so many ways, because you don't have to worry about the ongoing maintenance because it's brand new, you know, so it works really well.
That's right. So you guys then sold the house that you were living in. You then bought off the plan at Rata. Where are you living now? What did you do? What would you do in terms of your own home?
We went and got a rental, and we just like moved into a place that we couldn't afford, but was like quite nice, you know. From the advice from Charlotte.
So you obviously couldn't afford to buy it, but to rent it's quite doable for you. And I know with starting your business too, David, at the time, it was good because you've got space. You had space that you could keep vehicles and equipment and things like that in, so that worked quite well for you too.
It's also good, it's been good for us to take this time and rent, because any issue that arises in terms of maintenance, we don't have to fork out to do that. So that money that, you know, that would have gone into something like that, we've been able to stack away and save.
Yeah, that's right. And the maintenance and all the rest of it becomes someone else's issue. And especially when you're raising small babies, it's quite nice to not have to worry about that stuff, right? The interesting thing about what these guys have done is that you've got your money sitting in an investment. You haven't yet had to pay for it, so there's no mortgage. The property settles in a few months' time. And how long ago did you actually contract it though?
It would have
18
been
months ago?
2020 would have been about May, I think it was.
Yes, around about that. Yes.
So more than a year ago. And in that time, I know the prices have gone up on that property. So you've got your deposit in there and the equity that you took out of your original home that you've put in as your deposit. But over that time, the property has gone up in value and you don't even have a mortgage yet. It's great. And this is why we love off the plan buying, right? Because you guys are making money without having to do anything.
Yeah, and as I said, you know, at the beginning, it was that fear of the unknown, because it's something we've never done before. And, you know, so a lot of people going into something new are going to have that somewhat fear and anxiety of it. We've been able to build the capital gains with it not even being ready yet. And I think that's just really going to help us later on.
Are you excited to settle it then?
Oh yeah.
Not long now.
Yeah.
The other thing I think is worth noting about this is that when you first bought off the plans, your business, David, was relatively new.
Yeah, so we couldn't actually get into anything that we actually wanted to get into anyway, because the banks didn't really want to know. They didn't really want to know us.
With no record of income in the business.
So I'd only been in business for like not even a year.
But that's going well for you now. So that's great, because that means obviously when you get to having to settle, you've then got that record over a couple of years of running your business and the provable income. So it makes it that much easier for you to go and get a mortgage then without having to have help now, you know, which is really all super cool. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about your plans for the future. What happens next?
Well, for us, our plan is, you know, this is just the start, our first investment, and it's a big goal of ours to just build on that and buy as much property as we can, because the end goal for us is creating financial freedom, not just for ourselves but for our children, and making sure that we're leaving what we can for them to give them a good start in their elder life. Yeah, for you?
Oh, for me, I still just want to own my own house, like I do. But yeah, and a couple of investment properties as well. Would be good.
Yeah, that'll be nice, won't it? One day when you're able to buy something that can then be your forever home too, and you can move into it and it becomes your family home.
And I actually love what you're doing, and we're seeing more and more of it now, where people are actually considering buying a property without the intention of living in it. You know, it's not something that people automatically think about. You know, they're like, oh, I've never thought about continuing to rent and actually buying something to as an investment property, as a rental property. So super cool what you've done. Really cool.
I'm interested as well, or I think what people will find interesting is your ages. So how old are you guys?
I am 28. I forget.
And David?
Yeah, I'm 30.
30. So, you know, when you guys started out, your first home you bought when you were, like you say, when you were in your early 20s.
22.
I was 24, I think. Yeah.
22 and 24, yeah.
And I think it's really good because we see a lot of people who use the term that they're taking advantage of their family or their friends if they get help from them. Whereas I think that you really need to reconsider that, because what you guys did really well, and I know you've done this more than just your home as well, and I respect it, is seeing things as a good opportunity. An opportunity for you. People want to help, you know, when you've got your friends and your family around you. Taking those opportunities, and it's not just about you, you've got children, you know, so it's then also about taking those opportunities so your children can have a better future too. So
And we basically paid back her parents, you know, paid the equity back anyway. So.
that's right.
And now we're off on our own, so.
Yeah, and it's not, you know, people go into that worrying that it would affect them being guarantor or using their equity, but it actually doesn't mean anything for them. They don't have to give any money as such or anything like that. So it was a really good way for us to get on the property ladder.
Yeah, that's right. And like you say, now you're doing it alone. It was just a first step, wasn't it? And now you're good to go. No, that's super cool. Have you got any other questions for David and Sasha?
No, I don't think so, other than good news. I'll show you what we've listed our final release of Rata, which is going out to market later this week.
You'll be pleased about that, I expect.
You'll be very happy.
Yeah. Well, just one last thing. I'd be interested to know how you found the process with working with Duval. I mean, obviously you worked for us, but also working through another team, because obviously you weren't working in our property advisory team, in terms of working alongside Narissa and her team to achieve, you know, buying that first property off the plan. How was that experience for you?
Yeah, good.
Really, it's been really easy.
Yeah.
Like, as I said, going into it, it's quite scary, but it's been such a smooth process. You literally just get told by the advisors and by your lawyers what is required next, what the next step is. There's always that communication, so you know exactly where things are at. So yeah, it's been really, really good, and I would definitely look forward to the next one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Super exciting. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having
We really
us.
appreciate you coming along, and we'll no doubt see you again soon.
There's risk involved with everything in life, and the sooner that you start, the sooner that you learn and make those mistakes and move on very quickly. And the worst thing that you can do is put it off, because the market is not waiting around for you. So